Welcome to the R.E.S.T movement, where we release every single thing. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the R.E.S.T movement podcast. I am your host, Renee Young Blake, the Nugget Dropper.
And I am Sonja D, here to drop some soul. And we are so glad you have joined us.
Why you sounding like you've been drinking something? We've been drinking some hibiscus tea.
I was going to say, I've been drinking hibiscus tea.
We're so glad you're here. Listen, in case you don't know what this podcast is about, this podcast is for women to come and release every single thing by resetting, rebooting, reloading, and restoring. If you have not subscribed yet and become a part of the Nugget Tribe, you need to subscribe.
Please do.
If you have not made any comments, listen, your feedback, your comments are important to the growth of this community. We want to make sure the content that we provide is beneficial. And so far, those of you who have been commenting, it has been a blessing to read your comments. And I'm glad that you are enjoying what we are providing. We also want you to share. Find 20, 25 friends, family members, women over 35, someone you know, even if you don't know that they need to reset. They need to reset. All of us have something going on in us that we need to reset and start over and go back to our manufacturer who is God, our creator. Go back to how he designed us for what he wanted us to do. Because the truth is, we get so busy doing so many things that we forget that at the core of us, at the foundation of us, we're women. And we were created to do something more than just be wives, mothers, and grandmothers, and all the career women. We were created to do great things. And so we've had some episodes prior to now. So if this is your very first episode, go back to episode 1 so you can find out what this R.E.S.T movement is all about, how it was birthed, how God planted it in my womb to birth so that we can make women great all over the world, so that we can do the things that God intended. And so let's check in. How are you doing? What's going on in your world?
Let me see. I'm doing great, actually. What's going on? Just working and handling being a BB and going out and seeing the Christmas decorations are up already.
Really?
Everywhere.
I don't know when we turn to before a season can barely be gone.
Right.
We've moved on to the next season. Before we can even have Thanksgiving.
Hello.
Christmas is here. And I mean, seriously, we know Black Friday used to be the day where you shop and the day you start putting up your Christmas stuff. But gee golly, you know, before November is here, you talking about Christmas lights are up?
All right.
You know, I used to keep my Christmas stuff up, my Christmas tree in the basement up forever. I'm like, people don't go down there, so why they worried about how long? I'm going to start putting, for Easter, I'm going to put resurrection stuff on there. For 4th of July, I'm going to put 4th of July stuff on there just so I can leave my Christmas tree. But I've been delivered. My Christmas tree doesn't stay up all year long anymore. Speaking about clutter and unpacking, you know, put stuff away. But anyway, I digress. I am preparing for a colonoscopy. Yay me. So I have to prepare for a week, so I'm preparing. It's this next Friday. And so I'm starting to prepare myself for the things I'm not supposed to eat, for the things I'm supposed to take. And it is what it is. You know, that's what happens when you're 20. You have to get a colonoscopy. Have you had your 20-year-old colonoscopy yet?
Not yet. I'm on the verge of getting it done. I'm looking so forward to it.
You got to get the work done. So we have been, we're spending a lot of time on resetting because we realize that it's a difficult thing to do. We understand that looking within ourselves, because we just do busy work, we just keep doing stuff to kind of keep down or keep behind us what's really going on the inside of us. And many times we don't even know what's going on the inside of us. We have a fly that is visiting us.
I think it's 2.
So, oh Lord, it's
I
2?
see, yeah.
Lord Jesus. So, if you see us swatting, we're not swatting at you.
Or each other.
Or each other. It's some friendly flies in here that's working our nerves. But not dealing with your internal things doesn't allow you to be your best self. And I am telling you, when you get free, because this is Freedom Fridays, when you get in this space of freedom, it opens doors to places in you that you never knew existed because they were hidden. You weren't able to see them because of just doing stuff and continuing to do stuff over and over again. So we've been talking about doing root work, and I hope from those episodes that you guys have really dug deep and start looking within. And once you dig up stuff and you begin to unpack stuff, you need to understand how to unpack. What you do with what you've unpacked. You need to know why it matters that you unpack. And so today, that's what we're going to be talking about: why unpacking matters, and to make sure that we do the work. Because I can tell you, I know it can be exhausting, but you've been exhausted before and got stuff done. Isn't that the story of our life?
Yes, indeed.
We have to push through all the time because there are people who are depending on us, and we don't get to say, I don't feel like feeding you today. I don't feel like taking you to school today. I don't feel like, we don't have that opportunity.
No,
and so we know how to push through. We know how to do what needs to be done. And so I'm expecting that you will do what you need to do for you because it's the right thing to do. And so we talked about forgiveness because forgiveness opens the door, but now it's time for us to walk inside and deal with what is still hiding in the luggage, stuff that we got packed away in our closet. Do you ever leave stuff in your there's certain things I just leave in all of my luggage so that they go with me and I don't have to keep repacking them.
I don't, because I kind of have different luggage for different trips. Like if I'm going to be going on a big trip, then I have my
That's
big.
because she's a traveling bougie queen. She's always somewhere. Where are you? Oh, I'm in Dubai. Where are you? Oh, I'm traveling. That's just somebody who is doing the daggone thing. So I live vicariously through her.
She doesn't let no grass grow under her feet. Let's not get it twisted.
But soon, I'm not going to be like,
traveling.
listen, I'm going to be doing some traveling.
You do some traveling.
We getting ready to start clipping some stuff out the way to make it happen. So, this episode is about facing what we've buried so that God can bring us to full restoration. And so it's a process. Yes. We are, as I have said many times, this is not just a podcast. This is a movement. And because it's a movement, it is a progression of growing. It is a journey that we're on. And we're here. It's a sacred and safe space for you to be. And we want you to know this is a judgment-free zone because we all have had experiences. And we want to take the layer of shame, the layer of guilt, and all of these things that we feel because we guilt ourselves, and we need to stop it. So I want you to understand that you can't heal what you won't reveal. You can't heal what you won't reveal, and you continue to conceal it. So we have to unpack it and then expose it. So it's not just uprooting it, but we got to expose it, and we have to give it a name. And then we have to replace it. So it's a process. Mm-hmm. So forgiveness releases the person, but unpacking releases the pain. And we've talked about unlocking the pain so that you can unlock your purpose. And so my first question would be, why do you think people avoid unpacking their pain even after forgiving? Because forgiving is just one part of the process. But you got to deal with what was done to you that caused you not to forgive in the first place. So now I've forgiven you, but that thing is still there. Why do you think people hide from that? I forgive you and I'm moving on, but no, it's still there. What you feel is still in you, even though you've forgiven them, because forgiveness is never about them really. Forgiveness is to release them from the debt so that you can be released from the hold that they have on you.
That is a very profound question because though you may have forgiven the person. And that's kind of, you've forgiven the person, but the pain is still there. So it says, have you really forgiven them if the pain is still there? Is brings about triggers that could possibly remind you of those situations. Like we make vows unto ourselves based on past hurts that some of us never let go. And then when we do let it go, it comes with a whole lot of stipulations. But the pain is profound sometimes because of the unexpected. Like, I mean, nobody expects to go through things, but some things will just flip you up and take you off your feet and put you out of commission for a minute, right? And you've forgiven the person for that, but you still have put up walls to say, I'm not going to let this happen again. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let this happen. I'm not going to let that happen. So the walls are the protection from reliving that pain from anyone. But there's no guarantee.
I think sometimes too, when we've held on to unforgiveness for so long, and even though we've forgiven them, you ever met the kind of person who likes misery?
Yeah,
and,
they're not happy unless they're complaining.
They're not
about
happy
something.
unless they're complaining. So now that I've been forced to forgive you, what am I going to do with my life? Because I've been holding on to this for so long. It's my narrative.
That's what I'm saying. It's their story now.
It's the story. It's your story now, and I don't know how to be.
Here comes so and so.
Right. I don't know how to be separate from this story.
I was just with a girlfriend yesterday, and she had invited me to a picnic, and one of her girlfriends were there, who told me all about what she has been through. And according to my friend, she said, "Oh Lord, she'll tell if she had your ear,
you give her the platform, she's gonna get on the stage."
Right. And I had said to my girlfriend, I said, "Well, it sounds like she needs to talk to somebody. It sounds like she's holding on to that." And that's how they know her. That's how they introduce her. You know the one you were talking to that told you their life story. That's how they identify her. And I knew exactly because it was her.
And so, not only has she created this narrative, now people are telling the same story of her. So how does she get out of it? Because nobody's confronting her. Nobody's helping her get over it.
Right.
And so she is living a life of the past and can never push forward to the future.
That's right.
And it's really unfair. They're not real friends.
And they need to talk to her and stop, because what they say is she tells all her business, but what it is hurt. She's probably looking for somebody to give her the answer. And why is she
telling all her business? Did she grow up never being able to tell? Did something happen to her as a child?
Right.
That she was told never to tell what goes on in this house, stay in this house. So she was determined, when I get an adult, I'm telling all my business.
Right.
Like, where did it come from? We don't just come out acting a certain kind of way. That's why I always say that we are the sum total of how we grew up, our experiences, and our environment. And so when you don't heal in those places, when I can identify things as a child that are showing up as an adult and I don't deal with it, it's going to be continually who I am.
Yeah.
And if somebody don't call me on it, like, what's wrong with you? Why every time I say this and so, you always popping off? All I was saying, well, it ain't about you. It's about me. Why am I popping off?
Right.
It is going right back to, why am I offended? Why do I react that way? You've got to ask yourself questions. And if you have friends, true friends, they're not going to let you stay that way.
Right.
Somebody, and maybe they've had the conversation, maybe they've tried, but there has to be something that they have to do to help her get out of it.
Yeah. Because
that's a miserable place to be, because somebody's going to take advantage of her telling all her stories and telling all her business. One of the things we're going to talk about today is when we unpack, how we need to set that up when we start unpacking and we start unloading some of this stuff, how we deal with it. I think people also avoid unpacking the pain because they don't want to experience it again. They finally have a scab They finally can touch the area and it doesn't hurt as much. So I don't want you to take this off. Man, do you know how long it took for me to get the scab and to see my skin again? Now you want me to pull the scab off, pick at it to get it raw again? I don't want that.
Right.
I'd rather just go about life, and you don't need to know I'm hurting, but we know. We know by how you act. We know how you show up. That there are some things in you that have not been healed. And that's the whole point. It's the whole point of why we need to reset. Having to reset is opening you up for God to reboot you, to get you, get the right things coming back. And then when you reload the right stuff. And truth of the matter is, we have a lot of things in our life that we need to reset. Sometimes it's resetting our thinking, because if you're not thinking right, if you don't have a mind shift, you're going to stay stuck in the same belief, same system. And some of the things that we believe, we were taught as young children. We never even checked to see if it's even now. When you hear a minister preach the gospel, you don't just go by what they say. Right. You better go behind and make sure the word that they're preaching is the word that is in the word, because we get emotional. We hear it and it's a good amen. But when you go back to the root of what the word that is being preached, it didn't mean that at all. Where you get that from? That wasn't divine revelation. But it was entertaining, and I was diving all in. So you have to fact check. You have to fact check. You have to go and you have to dig and make sure that the things that you're thinking at this age really align with who you are. Are they true? Or is it just something you did all of your life? Because that's the way we did it.
And, to be fair, our parents, our guardians, whomever it was that, whomever's household we came up in, that was the Bible, whatever they said. And so we trusted them. We didn't even think to fact check. As you get older and you get your own ideas about how you want to do different things, and you realize, well, my mom never did it that way. Or if someone tells you, well, this is how, and you hear it, but you're like, that ain't how I do it. But we have to also understand that we're always in a student posture. We should be. Right. We should be in a student posture.
It's funny, before I forget this, when you just said, yeah, my mother did that. My husband is always saying, I've been on this earth for such and such many years. I have never seen nobody cook something like this. And I say, and I've never seen nobody. And then once he eats how I fix it, he's like, oh, baby, this is good. I'm like, I'm trying to tell you. My mother could burn. That's where I got it from. So it's funny because we were born in a different generation, because my husband is older than me. He's like my brother's age. And so even though I was in the home at some point with my brothers, they're older than me. So the way that he learned stuff, my husband's family, he would come from a big family, bigger than mine, but, it tips it over a little bit, but there's enough of us too. And so we learned differently because we came from two different homes, two different backgrounds. And when I talk about how my parents, how my dad and my mother traveled all the time to see, they were on vacation every year. That's where I get it from. Every 3 weeks in August, they were on vacation, and they were going somewhere every week. They would drive or fly or wherever. Most of the time, going to visit relatives that live distantly. That's how I am. And because I'm the youngest, I was in the house with them a long time. Right. And even after they were retired, I was still around. So I got to see all of those things, probably when my brothers were younger, because I remember seeing those black and white pictures and my brothers being on vacation. They always were vacationing, and they would have them looking like little rejects, dressed alike. Those bitches, I'm like, Mom, what would they come from? A prison sentence? It was black and white, and they had these striped shirts on, stair steps. And I think they were in Florida or somewhere. It was so hilarious. And I'm like, well, where was I? You weren't born, chick. So my parents have always traveled. So, because I got married late, and when I was in my 20s, I would 20s and 30s. I would jump in my car, and I would be in it. My mother would look at me like, "Well, where are you going? How are you just going somewhere and you don't know where you're going?" I'm like, "Well, I'm going because I want to go. I've heard such and such is nice up there." "Well, where you gonna stay?" "I'll find some place to stay when I get there." I was young. I didn't know nothing about getting a hotel ahead of time. I went in town. I found me a place to stay, and I would drive any place at any time. She got married at 18, straight from her parents, right to my daddy. She didn't have no clue. So I'm sure a part of her lived either in fear or in awe, or in awe of me that I'm doing things that she never did, because she started having children right away. So everything she did was with my dad.
Yeah.
And so, we have all these experiences, and most of the time, our siblings don't become our best friends when we're growing up. I mean, there are some families where the families are extremely close, and the sisters and brothers do everything together. But most of us, and many of us, when we pick friends, they're not like any of our siblings.
True.
And they become our new family. And even though you're still related to your siblings, you still do family things, but those who you really connect with are like-minded people, because you do develop into somebody else. Your values and things change. And so, yeah, I believe a lot of what I was shown and taught when I was growing up, but there are a lot of things that I've had to unpack as an adult because they don't fit. Because catch this, God created us all with these different fingerprints. God had a divine assignment for all of us. And while he assigned us through birth through certain families, he had a individual mantle on each one of us. So I could not stay like everybody else in my family, because what he assigned me to do was different.
That's right.
You had to. So when you move away from your immediate family, move away meaning you grow up and you move out on your own and you're doing your own thing. That's when you come to being. You don't come to who you are when you're in the home where your parents most likely raising the best they can, raising everybody the same, which you should never do, but that's what people think they're supposed to do. I'm giving you the same privilege, but I'm the irresponsible one. Why are you letting me, go hang out? I'm the one that's going to get in trouble. And you're right. So you be back at home at 9. Y'all can hang out until 11 because I can't trust you. Well, you can't trust me because it's not in my skill set. So we are supposed to raise our children different, but I know that people think raising them the same, so one doesn't get jealous over the other, but that's not how you nurture them. You watch to see what their abilities are. You watch to see what their skills are, and that's where you impart. Because if I'm creative, then don't make me go to law school. If I am, a chef, and you see me always in the kitchen, then don't make me go to regular college. I should be going to culinary school. So being able to look and see. But if we don't get that when we grow up, we got to really grow up.
But for Black folk, the expectation is to get your college degree. It was the thing.
It was the thing because we're always proving ourselves.
Right. We have to be, what do they say? We have to be this much better, this much smarter, everything. And so having a degree was some sort of job insurance. But we know that isn't true anymore. So,
yeah, that's the kind of pressure we've lived under, our families lived under, and we still, And I'm like, why am I trying to measure up? God already made me great and special. So I don't even, I said the other day in a post that I did on Facebook talking about privilege, and that God has been speaking to me about privilege, power, and purpose. And those who are privileged are his children. We're joint heirs with Christ. Do you understand? You know what an heir is? Right. It's somebody leaving you something, and if it's joint, if I'm a joint heir, then what I get, you also get.
Exactly.
So we're joint heirs with Christ, and Christ is, his name alone is the highest name. He is the supreme majesty, sitting on the right hand of the Father, and that's who we're joint heirs with.
Right.
So why am I walking around like I'm not royalty? I don't have no problems with that. You see the purple in my earring? I don't have no problem with no royalty because I understand who I am and didn't always. And that's the exact reason why God entrusted me with this movement, because he knows that I can be transparent. He knows that I will tell the truth. He knows that I want to see people win. And I know that if women win, we all win.
Yeah.
If women win, nobody loses. Yeah. And so it's important that we get empowered that way.
Yeah. I have to remind myself because I'll get in a place where I forget who I am. Mm-hmm. And I have to talk. I have to have that conversation like, do you know who you are? God is your father. And I don't say that to placate or to be light about it, because it really pulls me into a very powerful and confident place, And I guess the question should be, how do I get, it's not all the time, but it happens at times. Well, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. A tough assignment, a big challenge, or something we're hemming and hawing about, But it is very true what you say. Who is your father?
Can I tell you the morning, that nighttime affirmation that I shared, and then one day I just like, oh gosh, you have something to say to yourself at night, but what are you doing to command your morning? I know you pray, but it's something about how that nighttime affirmation and being in my bathroom is when I'm washing my face, getting all this makeup off and stuff, and while I'm in there, mm-hmm. and the affirmation is taped beside my mirror, I mm-hmm. just start saying it, and I'm saying it to myself in the mirror. And I can't tell you, when I wrote the morning confession, my I am and I will confession, and I put that thing on the wall, I can't tell you how it's. I almost feel like a coach walking into the locker room, and I am in there telling, come on, I am wealthy, I am, wise, I don't chase, I attract. And by the time I get to that, I'm so hyped, I wish you would when I get out in these streets. And so I'm telling you, it's really good to say these things, these things, because what you speak becomes alive. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes, listen, I got a magazine the other day. I think it was a AAA, not a AAA, it was an AARP or somebody's magazine, and I was flipping through it, and I'm looking for anybody other than one kind of folk in there, and I'm like, well, nobody else gets old but these people. I don't see anybody represented other than them. Mm-hmm. I almost want to call AARP and say, so why are you sending me this? Because apparently black people don't age, and they're not retired persons, because I don't see any of them in here. I don't see any Asian people in here. I don't see any Latino people in here. Like, who runs this place? And why don't they have a department that talks about diversity so that everybody is represented in this magazine?
Exactly.
We're all different, and everyone needs to be represented. And we all need to make sure. The point I was making is, when we have those subliminal messages like that, mm-hmm. we don't even recognize that when we're flipping through a page and we don't see ourselves, it starts planting things in your head. When you watch, sometimes I'll go to a streaming platform, mm-hmm. and I'm scrolling through, and if I don't see any diversity, I'm not using the streaming anymore, because you're not representing everybody. Right. And you're trying to make sure that you are subliminally sending messages to those who are watching, who's important and who's not. It's the same experience we had as children growing up. My granddaughter asked me the other day, were you born when they had black and white TVs and they didn't have any color? Did they have color TV when you were young? I said, I remember watching black and white. Now you're messing with my head. I remember watching black and white, but yep. Did we have color? I don't know. Right, eventually. I said, oh, well, if I was watching black and white, we tell that age again. If I was watching black and white, it must mean that that's what we had until we had color TV. And so, change is change. We live through things and we become things, but we reinvent things. But then going back to that, when it was black and white, you still could tell
Yeah, you could.
You could tell who was who,
Yes, you could.
even with a black and white television, and you know what you were portrayed as. It was to keep you in that poverty mindset. It was to keep you thinking that you were the minority, and a minority is somehow supposed to mean that you are the lower of the class because you were in minority. That's the population of people. And quite frankly, we did a real count, and you weren't in charge of the count. You would know that you're in the minority, and we're in the majority. And so, and the majority can be any of the minorities because all of us are multiplying. And so you're really not in the majority anymore. You just have the majority of power on earth. But because my Father has all the power, again, I'm privileged. And those of you who have the same Father, you're privileged too. And you need to remember that. So when we talk about unpacking pain, when we're talking about defining unpacking pain and why it's necessary, unpacking pain is not the same as reliving trauma. And that's why I think people won't unpack, because they think that they're just going to relive the trauma all over again. It's really about removing the power that the pain has over you, or the power that the person who did whatever it is you're trying to overcome. And so you have to unpack it, and it may feel like you're reliving it because you have to deal with it, but you're in a stronger place now.
So tell us, how do we unpack pain? Because I'm thinking, if you have to unpack pain, that makes me think it's deeply rooted. And that seems like something that would maybe take more than you to get to. You may need to seek therapy. You may need to definitely, hopefully you have someone that you're accountable to at your church, someone who can really help you and pray with you and show you things that you can't see because you are in it, right? So when you say unpack, that's what I think, deeply rooted. Because some things that we get really upset about, if somebody makes us mad about, we can find a reason to be like, that person is trifling or whatever, and we don't want to deal with them no more. So we say we don't, it's a sort of unforgiveness because we don't want to deal with them no more. But it was something very light, right? So that's not really unpacking anything. That's just you saying.
That's surface stuff.
Right, surface
when we
stuff.
talking about unpacking, we're talking about because we talked about root work. And roots are deep.
Yeah.
Roots go deep because they have to anchor what's above.
Absolutely.
These big trees that we see growing up out of the ground don't have no little pinky roots.
No.
They have roots that go way down.
Yeah. One got a hold of one of the pipes in my house.
Listen, they come up through pipes. They come up through toilets because their roots, and that could be a tree a mile down. It's got roots that's constantly growing because they have to be able to weather the storm. And so you don't want trees falling all everywhere you go, trees just dropping. And so that's how rooted we are in stuff. Why we have to dig deep to go back. Where did this start from? And it takes work. And a lot of times we don't want to do that. We're in the microwave society. We're in the drive-through society. We're in the, now we got an Instapot. We don't want to do the crock pot and let it, smell good, had it smell good all day long. We want it done instantly.
Because they don't like the way it feels. And they're tired of the feeling.
I understand that. But don't you want the feeling gone? Do you want the feeling to stay there and you don't know when it's going to pop back up?
The other part of that is some people don't identify that there's pain to unpack, right? They just, have you heard people say, I'm not going to change?
Oh, this is just the way I am.
Right. That's from pain.
Yeah, that's laziness. To suggest that this is the way you are and everything else changes. You're not going to stay where you are. At 20 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old, you still doing what you used to do at 20 because you refuse to change.
Yeah.
It's not make it make sense.
And why would you want to stay in that place that you were at 20?
You know how
and
immature you were at 20?
Girl.
You know how delusional you were at 20 and you want to
do
stay
not wanna
you want to
stay
stay
there.
delusional.
Right.
You want to stay unwise and making dumb decisions.
Another way to try and protect yourself is saying you're not going to change. Deal with me how I am or don't deal with me all. That way, if you don't love me for who I am, then you can go on about your business. But who you are...
Why did God give relationships?
Exactly.
It is to mirror for you what you are not. When I look at you and I see things in you, and then you like, you see that in me? And then it's like, well, I see that in you. You are mirroring something for me. That's why marriages are work. It's because that spouse that God gives you is to mirror something that you are not. It is to demonstrate for you, like I've been sharing, when I would say a certain thing to my husband, he's like, I didn't say that. You better check you. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Oh, well, I guess I do have to check me, because if that's not what you meant, why did I make that what you meant? What is it in me that needs to be delivered? I had to do some root work.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from? It was the feeling of being devalued by previous relationships, not feeling adequate from previous relationship. So you bring all of those, dragging that backpack of bones into your new relationship and burying it all around the house because you refuse to bury the bones where they belong, in the graveyard. Because I still have life, so why am I still carrying around dry bones? Why am I taking it? Because we need to deal with, one of the reasons people won't deal with it or really unpack is because they don't want, it's like why they won't go to therapy. Because they're afraid the therapists are going to unleash some stuff and they're going to start crying and never stop.
Right. Some revelation is going to happen.
Some revelation is going to happen because a therapist is trained to pull things out of you that you never wanted out.
A good therapist.
A good therapist. Which means you try one and you didn't like them, try another one.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't make that excuse, because
Right.
I know some of us will do that. I didn't like my therapist. My therapist was trash. Okay, well then take out the trash and go find another therapist.
That's what you do.
You just keep going until you get the right fit, the right person. Because it's just like any relationship. A therapist is a relationship.
It is indeed.
It's somebody you're entrusting with your heart, entrusting to come with you and put on the sweatpants with you and dig in the dirt with you to get your stuff out. They're willing to make sure that happens, and you got to do it.
My job offers that for free.
Praise God for that.
Mm-hmm.
For free?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's part of the perks. You can make phone calls or whatever to a number. The good news is that when trying to find a therapist now, they're booked. All of them. From the job, on the outside, references. I'm here to tell you, they are
Praise
booked
God
and
for that.
busy. We need more therapists.
Amen. So once you get free, amen, that maybe you'll work on freeing somebody else. That's what we all should do.
Yeah,
We're
that's
blessed
the goal, right?
to be a blessing.
That's it.
Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed." He's acutely aware of our infirmities, our pains. That's why he came in the first place.
My God.
Because God is a spirit. And so he could not understand the human experience because he's a spirit, just as we are. We're spirit beings having a natural experience. And so Christ came so that he would understand what it felt like to be betrayed. He would understand how it feels to have close friends that don't understand you. Close friends who are always questioning what you're doing. No matter how much you show up for them and you show them how powerful you are and how loyal you are, when the stuff hits the fan, they turning their back on you.
But you know what I found out about that? A lot of people used to say they're hating on you, but they're fearful. Because they're projecting their fear onto you. And so what I've learned is you can't tell everybody where you going.
No, absolutely.
You cannot.
Because you know that there are some people who are faking it around you and pretending like they're your friends and pretending like they're riding, and they are everything that you tell them you're doing. They're somewhere praying that you're not successful.
That's why you gotta be careful who you share your life and who you share your dreams with.
There are only a few people who can be on the stage with me. Some can be on the front row watching me. Some got to be up there in the balcony. And some need to be outside looking at my name on a moniker.
There you go.
You're not even coming in the building. So, hey,
careful.
how y'all doing?
That's true.
You got to be careful, especially in this healing process. Avoidance doesn't equal healing. So that's what we do. We mask it. We act like it doesn't exist. But we all know it. We all see it because we all see how you show up. We all see how you act. Like Miss Spill All the Beans. There's something going on in her that she's got to tell everybody, anybody whose ears come near her, telling her business.
Right.
You know, is that really her business? Is she making it up? Because, you know, I remember I don't remember who this friend was when we were growing, who made up some stuff that wasn't true. Like this life that did not exist. And we were believing that this life that she was having was true. And it was not.
Just an attention seeker?
I don't know what that was, but people do that.
That's scary.
You know, people do that.
That's dangerous.
It's dangerous. So when you avoid, you're just delaying your freedom. And do it now. None of us know when we're leaving here. But I'm telling you, my best life, I'm living it right now. I'm not putting off one more day. I'm not putting off one more moment. There's nothing you can say to me that will shift what I say about myself. There's nothing you can do to me that's going to change who I am because God said who I am, and so you can't tell me nothing. You can tell me something to help encourage me. You can tell me something to help me fix a part of me, but you cannot say anything about who I will be or who I will become because He's already preordained that. And since I am in alignment with His word and I'm in my place of divine assignment, you can say it to me, but then I'm going to take it to Him and like, you know, that's so-and-so said to me the other day. And I'm going to start praying about it because I don't close anybody's mouth off because I never know who it's going to come from. God will use a child to speak a word to you and have you going, ooh.
Well, He used the donkey.
Wow. I believe. So we got to be careful. Resetting without releasing is like running with a suitcase full of bricks.
Say that again.
Resetting without releasing, because that's what it is.
Right.
Is like running with a suitcase full of bricks. It's like me bringing all those bones in my backpack to a marriage because I didn't deal with all of that stuff.
And you're not getting far.
Ain't getting far. And be like, man, why so heavy? Because you got a bag of bricks on your back. Here's a brick. That got a name on it. Here's another brick. That got a name on it. That's the unpacking you have to do. Here's that brick of betrayal. Here's that brick of abuse. Take it. In fact, take it off your back. Open it up. Look at those bricks and take each one of them out and take them out so that you're no longer carrying it. You can't reset without releasing. It is the reason why you have to forgive because that's releasing the debt. You have to. Even when you start pulling those bricks out of that backpack, and if it's a person and they have a name on it, before you throw that brick away, make sure you're forgiving that person in the load that they've been making you carry. Well, actually, the load, they ain't been making you carry anything. The load that you've allowed yourself to carry with that person's name on it.
Because they living.
They living their best life.
Half of them don't even know that they're not, that
they've had that effect.
Because
they're like, I'm done with this, so I figure you should be done with this too. And they moving on. And you seeing them living because you following them on Instagram and Facebook. You seeing what they doing.
Stop believing everything you see on there.
Exactly. They posing with some fake somebody.
Who do you know that's going to put a miserable life on the social media? Who?
Well, there have been some people.
Oh yeah, that's true. They was their
Get on
their
there,
angle.
and spilling all their beans because they done went and got toasted or under the influence of something. Have you ever thought you moved on, but a small trigger showed that you were still holding on to something?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's
Happens
kind of
all the time.
Yeah.
That's kind of standard, right?
Yeah.
You think you've recovered, but you haven't recovered as much as you
And
thought
that's
you
God
recovered.
telling you deal with it, cause you're like, ugh.
And that's why what happens to you when you don't unpack, those old pains show up in new packaging. I was talking to you about the story of Lazarus.
Mm-hmm.
And they had buried him. And Mary Martha, if you had come, our brother wouldn't have died.
Right.
Oh, he's the same Jesus that you were washing his feet. He's the same Jesus. So listen, he got this. So where is he? And he just speaks a word. That's how, again, Jesus is always reminding us our word matters. And that's why we have to make sure our tongues are bridled and we watch what we say, because what we say we manifest.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Lazarus, come forth. When Lazarus came out, he was still wrapped in his grave clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent those guys over and said, take those clothes off. So it reminds me of two examples. One is when somebody's been locked up in prison for a long time. One of my favorite movies, Shawshank Redemption.
I love that movie.
And I can't remember the character's name, but it was the old man who finally got out. And even though he was free, he was still in bondage because he didn't know what to do. He almost got ran over by cars because cars probably didn't exist. It was an old movie. So when he got out as an old man, he didn't know nothing about watching how he crossed. Almost got ran over. Things had changed so much. He'd rather be back in prison.
And
So even though God tells you to come forth and come out of darkness into the marvelous light, you're coming into the light, but you're bringing some dark stuff with you. So you might see it, but you still have some stuff in you that has to be delivered. So even though God could call Lazarus out, he sent folk to help him. He didn't say, Lazarus, take off your own clothes. He didn't say, Lazarus, unwrap yourself. And I'm sure he could have just spoke to the clothes as the miracle working Jesus he was and said, clothes come off. But he sent those men to unwrap him.
Mm-hmm.
It is just like what God is sending us to do. He's telling you to come forth. Mm-hmm. And he's telling us to come unwrap and help you unwrap the pain that you're experiencing.
That's right.
Another one that I've seen happen a lot is people who have lost a massive amount of weight. And even though their outward appearance says you've lost this 200 pounds, this 300 pounds, your inner man still says you're overweight and you're still acting as an overweight person. Mm-hmm. Because even though the outside has been set free, you're still in prison in your mind.
Right.
And so we have to unpack, because when you don't connect to what has happened to you, this releasing of these things, this stuff that you're unpacking, if you don't unpack it, you'll still be in your grave clothes. Mm-hmm. You won't be empowered to move forward. Resurrection without release still leaves you bound. If you don't get a relief or a release of what's in you, you can't just unpack it and sit it there, because you'll be walking by, and every time you walk by, it'll be a reminder. That's right. You got to unpack it and get rid of it. I want to ask this question because we've kind of touched that. So how do we begin the unloading process? Because unloading isn't about going backwards. We're not telling you to go backwards. We're telling you to get something from back there, but we're not telling you to turn around and go back. It's about releasing what you've identified. And you have to take the time to figure it out. You have to protect yourself. You've already done some digging. You've already begun to do some root work. And if you have not yet done the root work, then you know that you need to go back and do that. You need to figure out and ask yourself the question, why do I respond like I do when this happens? Why am I offended when this is said to me or this happens? You have to identify, Because the God that we serve, the God who created us, will much prefer us to live life and life more abundantly. He would much prefer us to have perfect peace. He would much prefer us to be abundantly blessed because he isn't a God of abundance.
Right.
He is a God who owns everything, has all power in his hands. So he wants us to live a life full of joy. And if we're not living that life, and you know when you're not, you can smile in front of folk and fake that if you want. But we all know that that's what it is. We're faking a smile. That's not what God wants for us.
Nope.
He wants us to live our best life. He wouldn't have said that he comes to give us life and life more abundantly if that wasn't his. He's not a man that he should lie. So if that's what he said, then we need to listen. If there was a sale that say, hey, we're selling peace over here, it's for free, we should be in line to get the peace. Well, that's what God is saying. I'm offering peace over here. I want you to keep your mind stayed on me. I'll give you perfect peace. But you can't get to the peace if you're still in pieces. Because you got to go scatter all yourself together just to make yourself whole. We're talking about digging it up, getting the pieces of you that has been lost because of circumstances, lost because of hurt, lost because of pain, lost because of disappointment, lost because of sickness, lost because of heaviness. We got to get it. We got to get it. So here are a few ways to begin to unload. Pause before you pour. Fully process before you start sharing. Like Missy Ma'am, who wanted to tell everybody all her business.
And that's important.
Don't
You gotta
rush.
Be careful about who you can't share with
Don't
everybody.
rush from revelation to reaction. The pause is often the healing. Sitting quietly and allowing God to start helping you do the work. Even if you start going to therapy, sometimes go to therapy and don't tell anybody you're going.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to put their mouth on you because they wish they were in your shoes. And so
You're brave.
You're brave to go do it. You're investing in yourself.
Right.
Finally taking control of what you didn't have control over. You didn't have control over what happened in your childhood. You didn't have control over the mistakes you were making in your 20s and your 30s when you were just trying to come into yourself. The number 40 is the number of wilderness. So can you imagine you get to the 40s and that's your wilderness experience? And then you get in your 50s because the number 5 is grace.
I was in the wilderness.
Listen, if we all reflect, if you're above, I'm still 20, but if you're above 40,
I was in the wilderness.
The wilderness experience is
It's
something
not
else.
good. Oh my gosh.
It's something
I didn't
else.
realize that.
But then as you come into your 50s, it's the I said wilderness. The number I said wilderness because of the children of Israel, but really the number 40 means testing. So you get tested in the wilderness, but that is the number of testing. You're tested, you're tried, you're tempted. You know, you go through things, but it's not to kill you. It's to make you better. It's to build you. It is to define things in your life and define who you are. It's to bring the best out of you. Because when you come out of something, man, you should come out so much better. But you got to get to it. You got to get through it. So pause before you pour. Fully process before you start sharing. So you won't respond from a place of, you need to respond from a place of clarity and revelation rather than reaction. You know, you want God to reveal and give you clarity. And if you don't have that yet, you don't need to be sharing stuff yet. You don't need to be pouring out and trying to be a person who is giving witness until you are fully and completely clear and got the revelation, because otherwise you'll do it premature. It's like the story of the butterfly and seeing a butterfly trying to come out of a cocoon And I'm sure all of you know a caterpillar turns, we learned that in elementary school, caterpillar turns into a butterfly. But it goes through a metamorphosis, it goes through a process. When it is in that cocoon, if you help the caterpillar by peeling, you see him trying to nudge out and you try to be mishelpful, and you start peeling back some of it to make it easy for the caterpillar to come out. What you've just done is condemned that butterfly to being on the ground for the rest of their life. They won't be able to fly because them working themselves out of it is taking the fluid out of their wings. So it's stripping it. As it's coming out, the water is being pulled out of its wings, so when it comes out, the wings can fly dry. But when you help that caterpillar, help that butterfly come out in the way that you think, because you think it's struggling, it's not. It was born to do what it's doing. You're helping it. It's leaving, and I've seen a butterfly on the ground with one of the wings looking crazy.
You know, it didn't make it.
Never being able to fly, never being able to meet its full potential to be beautiful and fly around and help pollinate stuff because somebody interceded and somebody did something. So we don't want to do things premature. We want to do things in its timing. We want to make sure. So pause before you pour. Pause before you pour out. Pause before you share. Second thing, process in safe spaces. Talk it out with God. Journal. Talk it out with a safe person. And you got to try people. You got to try to make sure a person is exactly who they say they are. You have to make, I hate when I hear little children talking about, that's my best friend. That's my best friend.
They all say it.
You don't even know what a best friend is. That friend, they ain't even a friend. Because the next moment somebody else come along, they're not playing with you no more. They done found some new friend.
They don't know.
They are your friend. Let's leave it at that, okay? Because you'll get yourself hurt by entrusting yourself. Those are skills you develop over time. And so we have to be careful. Make sure who you're sharing it with will be somebody that you've already vetted out, and somebody you've always seen them as tried and true, that you can trust. Process in a safe space. I love to journal. I love to write because it allows me, and I can tell you there have been times over my life when I have been hurt terribly, and honey, if the person who I wrote this letter to ever read it, it would annihilate their whole life because I unleashed some venom in the letters that I wrote. But guess what it did? It took it off of me so that I could forgive them and move on. Mm-hmm. And so that when they came around, I'm not getting butterflies. I'm not getting, a pit in my stomach. I'm over it because I've already in my mind told you off. Because I've written everything that was in me to write to you. Everything that I've never told you. All the times that I never held you accountable. And as soon as I finish and I do my salutation that is from me, I rip it up and throw it in the trash. And it is the most freeing. I don't even know how I started doing it, but I've done it since I was teenager, 20s, young girl. Mm-hmm. And it's always been the thing that could free me, is to be able to write. And it's the reason why I journal now. It's the reason why I write now. It's the reason why I create now. It's because I love to write. And who knew? Mm-hmm. But it is a freeing. So journal. If you're not confident in your relationship with God, talk to him like you talk to anybody else. He's not afraid of you being angry. He's not afraid of you being mad. He's not afraid of the words you use. He's not going correct your language like we do as humans. God will allow you to be exactly who you are in conversing with him. So talk to him. So again, pause before you pour. Process in a safe space. Detach the identity. What happened to you is not who you are. We have to be careful of what we say about ourselves. I am this, I am that. If God did not say it, then you have to stop saying it. You have to stop saying. You have to change. Just like you said to me earlier, and you were fussing at me because I said I was taking a nap, and you said, "What? you are taking a nap. Well, praise God that you know how to rest yourself. And I was like, girl, my mind be on 100 all the time. And you said, and I said, and if I take a nap, then I'm gonna be up. And you told me, stop saying that. Say, I am going to rest tonight. I am going to get some sleep. I am going to get a good amount of hours of sleep, not taking a quick nap and back up again. And then you was like, you creatives are always up doing stuff. And I said, yeah. I said, well, it's hard, but again, I need to speak it. God, I told you I do what I do say when I've been up all night. God, please allow my this little bit of sleep I'm getting, let it feel like 8 hours of sleep when I awaken. And he always does it. And so because he's always done it, I always trust him to do it. But I'm getting older, so maybe I do need to sleep more. But we get it from my mama. Out of my 4 brothers, there's only one brother who is like my dad, in that when my father sit in the chair, he was out. And this brother can do the same thing. He can get his sleep on. The rest of us, we don't sleep a lot. We are up early in the morning. Our minds are always going. Well, that's our signal that we've talked enough. And so we're going to move into a part 2 of this episode. We ended it at detach the identity. We'll go back to talking about this, how to begin the unloading process, because we feel it's important. And we don't want to give you too much information in every episode that it is too much for you to take in, too much for you to process, and too much for you to do. Because we're about winning. We're about overcoming. We're about being more than conquerors, because God said that we are. And so I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I hope it is stirring up some conversation in you, and maybe have a watch party. Have a watch party with some of your friends to discuss some of these issues so that we all could win. We all can become better. I've been working on some things for you. I hope you've been to the website to get your free ebook, because I have some more things coming. I have over the week worked on a reset planner, weekly planner and journal. It's all done. Well, I say all done. It's all developed. I just got to get it set up so that you are able to get it, because I want us to work at this. I want us to become better. I want us to live our best life. I don't want what's happening in the world to burden us so much that we forget about who we are. Mm-hmm. We are God's children, and because we are God's children, we can do what he says we can do. We can have whatever he says we can have. And we can accomplish what he says we can accomplish, despite what other people might say. Hold on to that. So again, thank you for watching this episode. We'll see you next Friday for our next Freedom Friday. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye. Thank you for watching the R.E.S.T Movement Podcast. Remember, keep breathing, keep believing, keep becoming. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you next Friday.